throughout Southern California, including Fontana, and will provide transportation to any of their locations at no cost to you. To find out more, give them a call at 844-SAD-5050. That's 844-SAD-5050. South Pacific Sleep Lab. Start resting easy and sleeping sound today.
Hi, my name is Phil Grandy, philsgang.com. Most people would love to be in the stock market, but they're scared not being in. They're scared about not getting out in time. Well, that is over, because now you can join Phil's Gang and my stock video program and follow me with specific stock on the video, and you will be out in time.
Find out more at philsgang.com or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. Why pay thousands of dollars for a weekend seminar when for only $39.95 a month? philsgang.com provides all the daily market investing information you need to make profits in the stock market. With over 40 years of investing experience, only Phil Grandy and the philsgang.com team provide daily live investing webinars, up-to-the-minute market updates, all the investing educational videos you can imagine. Don't hesitate to learn, invest, and make profits. Go to philsgang.com or call 877-600-GANG, 877-600-4264.
Okay, we're back with Russ Olson in studio. Again, phone number's area 818-850-7784. So, sort of in conclusion, on the Menendez brothers, I guess we were talking about the psychiatrist, and he recorded the conversation, which interestingly, double-edged sword. I mean, you can record something if you think you're being either extorted or intimidated, or you have a legitimate fear for your life. So the actual recording was able to come in, even though technically speaking, it's in violation of his ethics and what he's allowed to do.
Well, yeah, you're correct in what you just said. With regard to the psychiatrist, I think that he recorded the sessions just as his normal procedure to maybe perhaps later on review the dialogue that he had with the patient. But the dialogue itself was initially Eric admitting that they had done it. Then subsequent to that, telling Lyle that he told the psychiatrist or psychologist that they did it. Lyle getting very upset, and then both Lyle and Eric having the meeting with their psychiatrist. And during that transition, the psychiatrist started getting concerned for his well-being. Because it later came out is that when Eric had laid out what they had done to the psychiatrist and told Lyle about it, Lyle wanted to go back and kill the psychiatrist.
I would imagine that Eric, being the younger one, being 18 and being forced to go into these sessions, probably had, again, it's kind of a typical misguided belief that anything he said in there was exempt. And I think that Lyle probably scheduling this was some form of damage control.
It may have been. What happened and how that kind of broke it free was that the psychiatrist was concerned for his well-being and had his girlfriend sit out in the lobby when both Eric and Lyle came in to basically confront him about the fact that he now knew that they had done it. And this gal, his girlfriend, became concerned for her well-being, and she subsequently came to us and told us about what had gone on.
When they were in there, did they reiterate a threat?
Oh, she could hear the loud voices.
Do you have any recollection of, well, loud voices, but do you have any recollection?
No, I don't, because that was relayed to me in the course of detectives interviewing her. And,
yeah, because you're not actively participating in a day-to-day thing. Right. Yeah, I'm just curious. But I'm sure it's in the recording.
Oziel feared for his life. His girlfriend feared for her life. And as a result of that, when it went up on the state medical board for review, was their opinion that he had violated or broken the patient-doctor privilege by informing his girlfriend and then also allowing her to hear the conversations in the other room that enabled us to get access to the tapes.
Right.
And the tapes had the confession of them killing their parents.
And they didn't, I assume motions were filed, what would be considered a fruits for the poisonous tree, that they would have tried to use that.
They tried to, but we made case law in the state that in this particular situation there was no patient doctor privilege.
The fact that actually, it's interesting because let's say, for argument's sake, if Lyle went in on a session and Eric was the actual quote client, that in and of itself violates the privilege. It's very common. Wives can stay when you're
to evoke.
Yeah, wives can stay when you're interviewing a defendant. You're talking about a criminal case. You can't have a third party in there that isn't part of the team. I can be in there as an investigator, but the attorneys can't have when somebody comes in with their brother or their sister or whatever the case, because you have no. You sort of violate when you do that. You violate the attorney-client privilege. So I would think that, and again, I don't know, but I would think that if Eric was the actual patient.
They both were.
Oh, they both were. Well, but if Eric was convicted, why were they both getting psychiatric help from the burglary? And again, you may not be able to answer that.
I don't know. I believe that both of those boys were involved in the burglaries out in Calabasas.
Well, I'm sure they both were. But
and as a result of that they were both having counseling through Oziel. It may not have been for what they did. It's just their behavior, and with the hopes of correcting that deviant behavior.
Do you know at the end, did Oziel ultimately lose his license?
I do not know for a fact. I have a strong suspicion that he did.
I didn't check. I probably should have. I would think a suspension, because I think the extenuating circumstances, maybe a suspension. I don't know about being, having it revoked, but
I have no idea.
Right, got it. So one of the other cases we talked about that came up was Zsa.
Yeah, the slap heard round the world.
Gets pulled over for traffic. Was he a motor or
He was a motor officer.
Motor police officer.
Yes.
Pulls her over and she smacks him.
She certainly did. All 6'5" of him.
6'5", and Zsa was about 5'2", 5'3".
Thereabouts, yes.
I'm surprised she could reach his face. Was he not? I guess he took his helmet off.
Yeah, she knocked his sunglasses off and damaged them, and resulted in her getting arrested.
Now, I know it sounds silly, but the reason I wanted to bring it up is because you actually went through some pretty extensive damage control, I guess.
I did. The moment that I knew that was Zsa Gabor and that she'd been arrested, I knew that it was going to be a media frenzy, and I anticipated that if we didn't jump on this right away and get all our ducks lined up, we were going to look silly. So I remember specifically going into my detective division and telling my robbery homicide people, treat this as it were a homicide. And ultimately, we wound up doing aerial flyovers in anticipation that people would say they saw things that later on we would prove physically that they could not.
Wow. The aerial flyover, now Beverly Hills doesn't have their own helicopter.
Oh, no, but we have some friends like Santa Monica.
So you use Santa Monica PD. Were these photographs, were these helicopter or
I think at the time they had fixed wing, but
Okay.
you could do a tight circle and you could
sure.
get the pictures of what you needed of the area.
Now, I don't know if it didn't go to trial, did it?
Oh, it did go to trial.
Oh, it did.
And she was convicted, and part of the conviction was that she had to pay restitution for all costs above and beyond what a normal investigation would have entailed. So the Beverly Hills City got a check for, I think, around between $30,000 and $40,000 for the overtime and the extra things that we had to do, just anticipation of that.
See, it's interesting, too, because the way you pose that, things that we had to do, those are things that you sort of chose to do. I get it, it's an assault on a police officer. But these are still things that Beverly Hills PD opted to do. It's not
they were above and beyond. This was just a simple matter of a misdemeanor battery slapping an officer. However, because of the celebrity in it, and because of the media's attention to it, you knew that every little speck of dust or dandruff was going to be called into play.
And I get all of that, but again, I'm saying again, you have to understand my background. So I'm saying from a defense standpoint, it's almost interesting. It's as if, and I believe me, I commend you for having the foresight to do all of that, and I get it. But again, it almost seems like a ton of overkill, and I'm surprised that the judge would have made her reimburse the city for an investigation that was simply done as a self-preservation.
It's a good question. I think because it was Beverly Hills, because of the sensationalism of it, because of the nature of the crime, and it was a major spectacle at the Beverly Hills courthouse.
Oh, no doubt
I
about
remember Eldon Fox, the judge,
he was
just livid because of all the impact that it had. I mean, it tore up the calendar and everything else. But we made a very good justification at the time, and the court awarded the cost.
Well, I can see Judge Fox doing that without a doubt.
Well, she wasn't a very cooperative person on the stand either, so she wanted to tell him how to run things too.
Yeah, he obviously got used to it, because years later I was involved in Winona Ryder's case that was also done in Beverly Hills in front of Judge Fox. Yeah. But I think you had long since you had left the department by then.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not long since, but I think that was what
I had personal dealings with Winona Ryder's grandfather.
Oh, interesting.
Timothy Leary.
That's right. I've forgotten about that. As was that when because you started in Menlo Park? Was that you were up
No, on Beverly
here?
Hills. I was a sergeant at the time.
And what was your dealings with Dr. Leary?
Well, there was a call that came in of people screaming and glass breaking, and we ultimately got down to the location and determined that there were two people in the house that seemed to be acting rather bizarre. And we made entry into the house and found him naked, and found his girlfriend in the bedroom naked and tied up. And we found what appeared to be drugs, which later was determined to be ketamine, which was not illegal at the time, but it was a strong hallucinogenic, and as a result, that's why they were behaving the way that they were.
It's now actually qualified as a date rape drug.
Well, at the time, it was used as an animal tranquilizer for elephants.
Right, really? Yeah, but now it's considered one of the date, like Rohypnol and the other ones that, again, as you said, GHB was not actually illegal back.
No, it was not. Yeah, we thought it was cocaine at the time.
I didn't know that he lived in Beverly Hills, because if I remember correctly, she was actually raised in Petaluma.
This wasn't with Winona. It was Timothy Leary and his girlfriend.
Oh, no, I understand that, but I'm saying that I didn't know that her family was actually living around or in the area of Beverly Hills, because, again, I know she was raised up in Northern California.
Well, this is many years before she had Winona was arrested.
Before she was born.
Correct.
But, I didn't know there was a tie to Southern California, let alone Beverly Hills. Yeah. Well, I'm really sorry we didn't get any calls, but I appreciate your being here.
Well, thank you very much.
And the Menendez brothers will unfortunately plague your career, your recollection forever, as Robert Blake plagues mine. It is what it is. And unfortunately, I also want to say that we lost David Kahn a few years ago. The
that's
DA
a real
that did the
tragedy.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful guy. I was fortunate enough when he left the DA's office. I was actually fortunate enough to work with him and know him and become very good friends with David.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah, he was one of my favorites, and very sad he died of Lou Gehrig's disease.
Wow.
And fortunately, if there's a fortunately, he went very quickly.
Yeah.
Sad, but he didn't linger and drag on.
Hey, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
I'm Chuck Kamlick, CNBC. History on Wall Street. Apple became the first company ever to be worth $1 trillion. Apple stock has backed off a bit since, but it's still up $5 right now. On Wall Street, stocks are mixed. The Dow